Hi, I'm Sam Roberts from Roberts Geospatial Engineering. I'm going to use ProRaster Scientific today to look at the area where they're currently searching for Malaysian Airlines MH370. So there's a ship out there called Armada 8605, and you can see on this website here the bathymetry, Jebco bathymetry, and they've got a coordinate here for the current location of the ship. And there's some speculation at present time that they are looking at a feature of interest. So let's take a look at that data. Put that over here. ProRaster Scientific is on the Microsoft Store. You can go and get it for free for a 7-day trial. And after that, if you want to continue using it, you have to go back to the store and purchase. So I've dragged in Jebco 2025. Let's choose this Atlas color scheme. Just going to dial down this intensity a little bit so we can see the color a little bit better. So here's Australia, here's the Southern Ocean. The search is out in this area. Now you can see the mid-ocean ridge coming down here. So this is a spreading ridge where there'll be basalt erupting onto the seafloor, and that's slowly getting pasted into these layers. So you can see this texture going away from the spreading ridges, which is the basalt that's slowly being pushed towards this plate boundary. You can see there's a plate boundary through here, and there's a subduction trench, I presume, along here. And the survey is being conducted along this so-called 7th arc, which is around here. So that's Jebco. Now let's look at the area in detail, and to do that I'm going back to the original bathymetry data. So I'm going to create a new algorithm for this virtual raster. Okay, so I've got the bathymetry data in a point cloud, and I'm gridding it in real time. And as I zoom in, the system is going to acquire more data from the point cloud, and in greater detail, it's going to regrid in real time as I move around, pan and zoom about, until we get right down to the highest possible detailed data, where we're seeing, you can see these striation effects. This is from the individual sonar tracks. It's basically noise, but you can also see the highest resolution detail on the sea floor. So in this area, coming from here, let's come into the algorithm and just change the color scale a bit. So let me come into color page, perhaps choose this, and I'll choose a linear transform, say from 4,800 meters deep to 2,500 meters deep. So that's okay. So here's our plate. Here's our trench, our subduction zone, and then then you can see all these little volcanoes popping up. These are seamounts. Down here they continue, and then we go into this striated sort of basalt terrain of the basalt that's been erupted along that spreading ridge, and just pasted on piece by piece. So to get an idea of the actual shape of this topography, let me just turn off my webcam, deactivate that so it's not in the way. Let's draw a profile. So I'll draw a profile that comes down off of this plate over that cliff down into the subduction zone, and then out here into the and perhaps we'll make it bigger, so profile settings, full width, half height. Alright, so coming from this northeast down to the southwest, so we went uphill up to a depth of around 900 meters deep on the edge of this cliff here, and then it really drops off very, very quickly. Comes down across here, we're coming across here, then right down into this trench, quite flat down on the bottom of the trench. We came across here, and then into this terrain where we've got these basalt ridges, which is just rough terrain, but no major features. So let's look for this spot. So the coordinate, let me go back to that web page. The list of coordinate here for the position of the ship. So minus 34.288, 94.719 degrees. Go to the tooltip and put on coordinates. So 94.7 is over here, and minus 34.288, so we're about down here. So this is the area that we're looking at. And you can see that there's no major features out here, no major volcanic features. There are all these probably fault-related ridges and so forth, but the main feature are these northwest to southeast trending ridges of basalt. So 94.7, so we're about here. 34.2, so about in here. So let's zoom in. As we zoom in, we're going to get higher and higher detail. So let's go to the distance tool. The plane, so there we go. So, well, let me look at this. So that is 10 kilometers. So that line that you can see on the screen is currently 10 kilometers. Let's zoom in a bit further. That's about 1 kilometer. If you accept that the plane might be in a region of, say, a few hundred meters, let's say 300 meters, then, or say 500 meters, then the plane could be in an area like this. As I draw this thing around, it's got a 500 meter radius. So it's quite possible that the plane might be out here in one of these relatively flat areas, bearing in mind that a lot of this so-called detail that we can see here is just noise. It's probably very flat. Oops. Or it could straddle one of these little ridges. So let's take a look at one of these things. We'll draw a profile. So you can see that the range here is 265 meters vertically. So from the south across this ridge, quite steep. Let's go into our profile settings and scale it at 1:1. So even at 1:1, you can see that this is quite a steep little ridge and a significant topographic feature. So if the plane was to fall on one of these things, it might be quite difficult to see. Let's come back to our algorithm, and we want to have a look at this in 3D. So I'll put on a 3D surface layer and just connect it to the same virtual grid. Turn my tooltips off for the time being. So we'll zoom out a bit, and then I'll just push that across to 3D. And we'll scale it so it's 1:1, so we can see the true scale of these things. That's what it looks like in sort of true scale over a fairly broad area. We're looking at about 20 kilometers by 20 kilometers here. So let's bring that right in. Painful. Come into, say, this particular ridge here. Push that across to my 3D map. So here at a scale of 1:1. So you can see that that is a very significant topographic feature at this scale. So if the plane is somewhere out in these areas in between these ridges, then it might be relatively easy to spot. But if it falls along one of these ridges, then that's probably going to be more problematic. So that's the current search area. That's the sort of bathymetric terrain that they're looking in. Perhaps it's better than being up in this area where it's very complicated. It is mostly smooth, separated by these quite sharp and steep ridges. So that's the sort of that's what they're looking at now in terms of searching for MH370. Thanks for watching.